Hey, Crypto Vlog, September 17th, 9/17/2022. Special shout out to Curry and Aiden on their birthday wishes. And what else is going on? We had a surprising merge dump, fork dump. On the tree?
5 minutes.
2 minutes on the tree. Go.
No.
Just go to the tree. So, crazy things are happening. Alts dumped. They pumped and dumped. We had VGX 120, 119, and then back to 60 cents, 65 cents. And then so many pump and dumps all across the board. We had the VIB pump that went from 38 sats a couple months ago all the way to 1400 sats. So that was like 35x, 36x. We had crazy, everything went crazy. What do we do when everything's going crazy? How do you get in? Well, you don't want to get caught up in the crazy moments. You have to know when the music stops playing, when the pumps die. Well, they died after the merge, right? But we still had VIB that happened, that pumped after the merge. So BUSD pairs weren't pumping, and all of a sudden they started flying. So the only pairs that don't have BUSD are like 7 more. I'll list them on my Twitter so you can buy them and ride the pumps. So congrats if you got it. And I know Nacho Trades, follow Nacho Trades. He likes to hold till the top of the pump. The 5 or 10x, it worked out this time. Usually it doesn't go that high. Once in a while it does. PHB I think did 10x. Congrats again on the PHB call. We had Sweat that launched. It did a cheeky 2x, right? Not too bad. This market's really good though. So what's going on with the economy? Well, it's definitely a bear market. I mean, a lot of people thought the bear market was over because we were pumping in June. We bought them June 18th, and then they said, okay, the bear market's over officially last week because Bitcoin pumped from 18.5 to 22.8. Okay, the bear market's, no, it was just a pump and dump, the usual pump and dump before the news dumps us. Fade, always faded. Continuation isn't worth the risk. We go up high, do not keep thinking we're gonna go up high through a 50-50 event, because CPI was higher than we expected, so that's why the market's nuked. But alt sort of hung on. We had dominance that spiked when Bitcoin ran up to 22.8, and then the dominance retraced, and then dominance bounced a little bit. Layer 3s are something to watch out for. What are layer 3s? They're still being built, so if they launch tokens, get ready. If you want to use the layer 3s so you get an airdrop, that could be a possibility. NFT world, we had Ranga and Ranga Black Box, which are unrevealed Rangas. They went from 0.41 all the way to 3.2 ETH. Congrats if you got in Ranga. And for those who sold the bottom, I'm sorry for your loss. That's the worst. Selling the bottom, I think, is worse than taking a loss. The psychology of trading. So missing a huge pump just because you weren't in is bad. Then even worse is selling the bottom. And then taking a loss is third on that list. So selling the bottom, the worst thing you can do as a FOMO trader. It's hard to get rid of the psychology of the emotional side of trading. The second is not being in for a huge pump. And the third is holding for a loss and selling at a loss, which they're pretty equal actually. I think selling at a loss and seeing it pump is definitely worse than holding for a loss and just holding it down to zero. It's just weird. And that's how savvy traders and traders with high liquidity that are fine with 10, 20, 30% take advantage of FOMO retail traders. Because retail traders want 2, 3, 4, 5, 10x, 100x. Okay, great. You got your new tree bed. But the savvy traders just, look at the P&Ls. Compound interest. Einstein said compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. Well, it's wonderful. Look at the traders with millions of dollars. Tell me when the last time a trader like GCR, Hisaka Trades, Satoshi Flipper, Pentoshi, Tree of Alpha, when's the last time that they held for a 10x? maybe krill, and Koval, shipping. But after those three, nothing left. Nothing left on the docket for the huge 20x, 50x pumps. So they take advantage. Look at the P&Ls that GCR and Pentoshi and Coin Mamba post on Twitter with. They have like $50 million positions and they're making $2, $3, $5, $10 million off those. That's compound interest. They've built their balances up to these huge $1 million multiples and they're able to take a small percentage, nip each time, 10, 20%. Imagine if you could do that on $10 million where you take $1 or $2 million each trade and you're happy. You don't need the $10,000, $28,000 by holding for a 10 or 20x off $1,000. That's the benefit of being wealthy and being smart, where you don't have to be greedy. Poor people have to be greedy, ironically, because rich people already made their money. They can be greedy, but poor people have to be way too greedy for their worth. They stay in the casino way too long. Poor people just get wrecked. They buy those lottery tickets, not good. And that leads me into the psychology of losing. So I said losing is terrible, especially if you see a huge pump after you sell for a loss. That's the worst thing you can do. And just building the balance is so hard to start with like $1,000 and be happy with $100, $200, and then $300. And it takes forever. It seems like it takes forever to compound. But the best time to compound is in a bull market. But we don't have that anymore. The money's flowing out, okay? The economy is receding. We're in a recession. We can't have low inflation and a bull market at the same time. It doesn't work. We can't have a bounce. We can't have a soft landing. We have to bleed out consistently. We can bleed, stop. But we can't just bleed, stop, pump. It doesn't work like that in the bear market. So the money's gone. We're making up all these new metrics for what a recession is and what the end of a bear market is. But guess what? It's not here. So for all the young traders out there, guess what you have? If you're in a loss, you're still young, right? You have your full life ahead of you. You're still healthy, hopefully. And then the psychology of being positive. Are you positive? Or do you have a negative attitude? So being old, I know what old people try to tell you, they're happy, they're old and happy. No. Being young is something money can't buy. You can be completely broke and young unless you get sent into like the Russian military or the Yemeni military, then you're kind of screwed. If you're young, or Ukrainian military, any military. Taiwanese army, are they gonna have some skirmishes? We're probably gonna hear about a couple deaths in the future that should crash the market. China's looking at Taiwan and being like, we see you, Russia, we understand you, and it's not good. The axis of evil, China, Taiwan, North Korea, oh shoot, China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, Eritrea, I don't know if Eritrea is on there. What else? Syria, but Syria's kind of like all over the place. And Cuba, I don't know if Cuba's partnered or if that's all. Venezuela, El Salvador, I don't know if they're still partnering with Russia and China. Anyway, there's a lot of countries there. But we have a whole new world, and this isn't going to boost the economy. War won't boost the economy. I mean, I said initially it did. It pumped us to 48,000 from 31, 33. But then that was just a dead cat. So to be young is something money can't buy. I mean, celebrities get all this makeup to look young, but once you're young, that's it. It's better to be broke and young unless you're in a country full of poverty. Then it's better to be a little older. But you have so many advantages, even if you're broke and young. Just to be healthy, to be not live in pain, not live in the fear of dying, unless you're hungry. Then if your country doesn't have any money, if you don't have any money, then you can live in the fear of dying of hunger. But if you live in the U.S., Western Europe, England, France, Spain, Spain, Germany, Poland, all those countries where everyone's wealthy. Norway, Sweden, Finland, blah, 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 blah. Israel, China. No, China has a lot of poor people. Singapore, Australia, there you go. Forgot about Australia. It's the little country tucked away way down there. New Zealand.
But the UAE.
Oh, the UAE, United Arab Emirates, they're wealthy. So a lot of good countries out there that don't have to worry about being hungry for now. But eventually it'll go from like 5% hungry to 10%, 15%. It could if the recession, depression gets really bad. But that's with our quantitative easing, juggling. People keep saying the Fed's gonna have to start quantitative easing again to help soften the blow of a recession. But you can't have low inflation without correcting for an economic boom or bull market into a bear market. So we need a deeper correction. It's natural. And how are you going to do it? You're going to trade the sideways chop, right? No, you're going to trade all to Bitcoin steady. You don't want to hold anything for too long. It's not a holding market. 1 or 2 days is good. Maybe a few more days, but longer than that. If there's no catalyst, like a potential BUSD listing for those 7, be it BTC or ETH pairs on Binance without a BUSD pair, it's not going to work out. Even Coinbase is dead. Coinbase used to be good, but people are still in PNG. Ironically, Joe did 2x and PNG only did like 50% from base to peak. And Joe had a 2x scam pump and retrace. Joe is Pangolin was the original DEX for AVAX chain, AVAX C chain. But then Joe came along, and Trader Joe. Who is Trader Joe? He's all these incentives for staking, blah blah blah. Last September or August of 2021, and Joe just took off, did like 20x. So Joe Mama is better than Pangolin, but Pang is getting a Coinbase listing, so it might do 2x, even though Joe had the 2x pumping up, and that's it. It's better to be young and healthy and have the whole world and future ahead of you, bright future, than old and rich and unhealthy and having to deal with all your old rich person problems. But it's nice to be young and rich. It is nice, but you also run into problems with drugs, because partying and drugs and gambling is so easy if you're rich and young, whether old or young. Thanks for watching. DMs are open. Free rent giveaway is coming. I just got to do the drawing. Thanks.